one of independent India's oldest NGOs, CASA. The Church's auxiliary for social action has served the nation and its vast diversity of people for more than 7 decades. In 1947, as India came to terms with its independence, fires of hate and mistrust raged across the land. Partition had marred the joy of freedom. From this crucible of fire arose a small movement. Armed with faith and love, a community braved the flames and walked that difficult last mile, bringing help and hope. The seeds of CASA were laid in the ruptured soil of the new nation. In the dark days that followed independence, over 12 million people were displaced and more than 2 million people lost their lives. The Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, called upon the Christian community to provide relief and care, and a balm to ravaged spirits. Shrugging aside their own uncertainty as a minority in the new India, the community responded with patriotic fervor, ushering in an era of selfless service.
We have in record one Bishop Pickett and his associates. They met Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and they were asked if church can intervene. And globally, if you see historically, church, one of the main mottos of the church is service to the humanity. So it was also an opportunity to the churches in India to extend the possible support and possible help to the people who were suffering.
Responding to the call of the nation, the National Christian Council of India created a relief committee to bring peace and harmony between warring Hindu and Muslim groups while providing much-needed aid to distressed refugees. What began in 1947 as a response to human tragedy and suffering, CASA has grown into one of India's longest-serving NGOs, always putting people first. Today, we work in 26 states spanning the length and breadth of the country and have partnered with over 500 plus diverse organizations. We have worked in more than 10,000 remote and inaccessible villages and have made positive changes in the lives of more than 8 million marginalized people. Over the years, the selfless service of CASA, working till 2020 with over 500 partner organizations, has impacted the lives of lakhs of children, provided health assistance to nearly 25 lakh people, provided livelihood support to over 20 lakh landless and marginalized farmers, and undertaken over 500 plus disaster responses.
We have thousands of volunteers and they come from different society. They could be from the churches, they could be from the civil society, they could be from any other institution.
Another role that we have to play is also see the quality of the staff of CASA, the people that are involved, that are working at the right from grassroots up to the higher levels, their expertise. Now these 3 generations I see involved with CASA.
Keeping our ear close to the ground for decades, we have been able to reorient ourselves over the years to keep the changing needs of the nation's poor at the heart of our work. CASA's vision and mission is driven by the Christian values of faith, compassion, courage, love, and hope. We strive for a society in which peace, justice, and equality prevail, and wherein all citizens, irrespective of caste, creed, language, and religion, live in peace and communal harmony. We envisage a society where the poor, women, the marginalized, and the underprivileged lead a quality life with dignity and have equal opportunity for their involvement in the development process, which is value-based and sustainable, and have an appropriate environment to develop their fullest potential.
Peace, justice, dignity of life. And I think dignity of life is very important, and that cannot happen if there is lack of justice and if there is lack of peace. That's very, very important vision of CASA.
CASA strives to work for a just and sustainable society by creating opportunities for the participation of socially and economically marginalized sections in the development process through networking, alliance building, and strengthening of their organization. We promote gender mainstreaming, mobilize resources in favor of the poor, and optimize all potentials and capacities existing within the organization, ensuring women leadership and decision-making through self-help groups.
CASA strongly believes that we should work with people who are most marginalized. So our gender policy and our National Gender Task Force basically focuses our work on the Dalits, the tribals, the HIV/AIDS patients, Sikh, LGBTQIA, the most marginal in the community.
CASA works extensively with communities and has changed its approach whenever the situation demanded. Starting with emergency responses in the 40s through working with the refugee crisis and agricultural support to farmers in the 70s and 80s. The 90s saw an evolving rights and issue-based approach with work with Mahila Mandal Dals and women's participation in the government's Panchayati Raj initiative.
CASA is especially working towards making women or gender justice a reality. So we take these policies and the work through the community, work along with the women in the community. We are making leaders of women. We are ensuring women are participating. They are getting their livelihood. They're getting opportunity to do businesses. They are getting opportunity to participate in the local governance system. So these are the various engagement CASA is having at the grassroots.
Our direct programs are implemented on the ground through a partnership of more than 10,000 volunteers and the local community.
We call it local resource mobilization by the people for the people, where people themselves are involved in raising local resource in terms of kind, in terms of cash, in terms of labor, which has proved to be very beneficial for the sustenance of the program.
We plan for an integrated approach in which we ensure that people's 365 days of livelihood is attained. Then there are people, those who don't have land resources or those who don't have any resources. So you have to find out other ways and means of addressing those people.
CASA works on the ground in a number of ways. Our core programs, emergency responses, and bilateral programs are impacting communities across India. From community capacity building in the Northeast to the bridge schools in Tamil Nadu.
We have concentrated much on the children education and their welfare. And sometimes they may out of schools. So we identify such as children and we coach them in one of our bridge course center, and then we mainstream into regular schools.
Several social assistance programs like access to health facilities, then ration from PDS shops, and then old age pensions, disability pensions. So we are making the local governments accountable to the people.
Our core program is directly operational in 453 villages, 18 blocks and 16 districts of 12 states.
ट्राइबल्स के मुद्दे जो हैं आदिवासियों के, वो मोर और लेस आप देखेंगे तो इनका ज़मीन का अधिकार का बात है, जंगल का अधिकार का बात है। लोगों के पास पट्टा है, ज़मीन नहीं है, मतलब ज़मीन पे स्वामित्व नहीं है, या फिर ज़मीन पे स्वामित्व है तो पट्टा नहीं है हाथ में। 2009 से कासा ने इस पे कैंपेन किया।
Another important intervention is the Local Capacity for Peace or LCP program. Started in 2005, the project is implemented through the Bread for the World partner organization. CASA holds the South Asia Secretariat.
There are
so many divisions in our societies, and we especially focus on youth in this program so that their capacities are built to address various kinds of conflicts.
Responding to a crisis was the genesis of CASA, and it remains its soul. Our response to major disasters that have struck the country is swift and focused.
We have our pre-stocking system. CASA is having inbuilt system in a strategic location all over India. All the zones we have the warehouse systems, and we can address up to 50,000 beneficiary within a day or two.
CASA has stood with the nation as disaster after disaster struck, helping shattered communities deal with the shock and despair each one brought with it, working shoulder to shoulder with desperate people as they picked up the pieces of their destroyed homes and villages, giving hope and support to rebuild their lives. In 2020, as the world reeled under the onslaught of a new and dangerous enemy, COVID-19, CASA swiftly sprung into action, creating awareness about the virus and working across the country to provide relief and support. We have covered 16,358 villages and reached more than 9.3 million people. CASA continues to support communities across India in their fight against the deadly virus.
In COVID, we started our response from the month of May. Thousands and thousands of volunteers, they joined hand together. Government had sent us the request, state governments, and we also joined them. We decided that we'll transfer cash, 6,000 to 18,000 per family. Now it was up to family to decide on what they want to spend money when today they are hopeless.
Since 1947, CASA has worked to help people overcome the emotional and social upheavals disasters bring in their wake. We believe that preparedness for disasters is any community's first line of defense. We are working with communities under our disaster risk reduction projects. We design mechanisms to secure life and sustenance in disaster-prone areas. Our brave volunteers work in the face of grave danger with scientific training, awareness, and local support.
We are linked with the IMD, Indian Meteorological Department. When any emergency comes, we are getting information beforehand. And before that also, we are preparing the community through mock drill to research themselves, what capacity they have.
Celebrating 75 years of work and service to the nation, and in particular, its most marginalized people, CASA launched an innovative campaign, a plantation drive that recognizes and honors people's close links with nature. Over 2.43 lakh fruit and medicinal saplings have been planted, and we aim to plant 7,50,000 saplings by 2023. Validation from communities served is the pinnacle of achievement for any organization, and we are grateful for the love and acknowledgement we have received over the decades. Mirroring in equal measure the dedication and service we have extended to the nation's most needy.
The size of our staff in human resources are less, but the reach is very large because we have connected with many individuals, the people's organizations, their federations, and civil society organizations.
CASA looks to the future with hope, building on its strong commitment to the nation and its people, working with communities for a better world where peace, justice, and equality prevail.